adaptations of guard cells to their functions. Adaptation number one is guard cells have differential thicker inner cell walls than the outer cell walls in order for them to withstand the accumulated pressure during turgidity. That is when the cell gains water by osmosis from neighboring adjacent epidermal cells. So here what we are saying is the inner walls of the guard cells are thicker. These ones here are thicker compared to the outer walls. These ones there are thinner. The significance of the inner cell wall being thicker is for them to withstand the accumulated pressure when the cell gains water by osmosis. Number two, guard cells have chloroplast that enables them to manufacture food so that they can either gain water by osmosis in order to bring about turgidity, or they can lose water to the adjacent epidermal cells so that they can become flaccid. Then we want to look at the mechanisms or the theories that explain the mechanism of opening and closing of the stomata. Generally, there are three theories that have been put forward to explain the mechanism of opening and closing of the stomata. The theories are: one, photosynthetic theory; number two, starch-sugar interconversion theory or the pH theory; and number three, potassium ion theory, which we are not going to concentrate on it here. Let's consider how photosynthetic theory explains the open and closing of the stoma. Remember, we said guard cells are unique epidermal cells in that they have chloroplast. So during the day there is sunlight. Photosynthesis takes place in the guard cells, leading to the formation of sugar, which is osmotically active. The sugar causes rise in osmotic pressure within the guard cells compared to the adjacent epidermal cells. The result is they draw in water by osmosis. Thereby they become turgid and the stoma opens. However, at the onset of the night, there is no photosynthesis. There is no sunlight. Photosynthesis does not take place. The little sugar that was formed during the day is used in respiration, and some converted to starch, the storage form of carbohydrate in plants. All these will lead to decrease in osmotic pressure within the guard cells as compared to the neighboring epidermal cells. The result is the guard cells will lose water by osmosis to the neighboring epidermal cells. They therefore become flaccid and they move closer to one another, thereby leading to the closure of the stomata. This theory faces some setback, which is it cannot explain why some plants close their stoma during the day while others open the stoma during the night. The other theory that explains the mechanism of opening and closing of the stoma is sugar-starch interconversion theory or the pH theory. This theory is based on how sugar can be converted to starch and how starch can be converted to sugar. These conversions are determined by the changes in pH around the guard cells. When the environment around the guard cells becomes alkaline, what is favored is conversion of starch to sugar. And when the environment around the guard cells becomes acidic, then what is favored is conversion of sugar to starch. Let's begin by looking at what happens during the night. During the night, there is no sunlight. Photosynthesis does not take place. Therefore, CO2 is not utilized in the process. The result is CO2 will accumulate around the guard cells, and it combines with the water that is found within the leaf mesophyll cells, leading to the formation of weak carbonic acid that lowers the pH within the guard cells, leading to that condition favors the conversion of sugar to starch. The starch that is formed in the process is osmotically inactive. It does not lead to rise in osmotic pressure within the guard cells as compared to the neighboring epidermal cells. The result is the guard cells will lose water by osmosis, and the guard cells become flaccid. The result is it will lead to the closure of the stomata. However, at the onset of the day, there is sunlight. Photosynthesis takes place. CO2 is utilized. Therefore, its accumulation within the guard cells is reduced, and therefore there is no formation of weak carbonic acid. The result is the environment within the guard cells becomes alkaline, leading to the favoring the conversion of starch to sugar. The sugar that is formed is osmotically active. In other words, it will lead to rise in osmotic pressure within the guard cells compared to the neighboring epidermal cells. The result is the guard cells draw in water by osmosis. They become turgid, and therefore that one leads to the opening of the stomata. The same way we said photosynthetic theory faces some setbacks, this theory also does not explain why some plants open their stoma during the night while others close their stoma during the day. So the theory that comprehensively explains without limitations the mechanism of opening and closing of the stomata is potassium ion theory.